All right, TexAgs High School Football Show. It is regional final time in Texas. That means there is one game in each region left across the state. And Jason Howell and Ryan Brauninger here with you today. And we talked early on in this playoff schedule. We made our predictions, Jason, and it didn't take long for a lot of our predictions to blow up in our face, but there are some still hanging around. So take us through your week.
I still have all but one of my champs left, man.
Carthage was your only one, right?
Yeah, who would have thought Carthage would be the one to let me down?
Carthage was like, I think Carthage was your stone cold lock in the underclasses to win a state championship.
That was the only one that I was like, yeah, I can't even pick a second choice. Hey, there's a guy on the board. I can't give him credit because I can't remember exactly what his screen name was, but he was saying, I'm telling you, China Spring. And I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, they beat Carthage last week. So
take us through your
thanks, China Spring.
Take us through the weekend in Dallas there in the regional semifinal round, and big upset with Aledo going down.
Yes, Walker Lott was out there taking in the action. That was one to me that going in, if South Oak Cliff could get their offense moving consistently, they've been a big strike offense that can attack from anywhere on the field, but sustaining drives was something I was thinking they would need to do. And that defense played lights out, and South Oak Cliff was able to get out early and stay on top. Credit to them, and a big win for DISD, moving on and taking out the perennial state champion in Aledo. So we're going to have a new state champion there, and just can't say enough, about what those Golden Bears are doing out there at South Oak Cliff. They are doing some big things, and we've seen it kind of building up over the last few years with the talent that they've been putting on the field and the level of coaching.
Well, I tried
that those guys are getting.
I tried to one up you on Saturday night about my Houston versus Dallas tweet, and then I got fact checked by Matt Stepp. But 2-2 Houston against Dallas last week, and I think Spring ISD went down to Duncanville and DeSoto, who will play in a rematch, and then that's 6A Division I Region 2, so that's Duncanville DeSoto in a rematch, and then 6A Division I Region 3 is North Shore against Atascocita in a district rematch. So speaks a lot to the talent that are coming out of those areas of Dallas and in Houston.
Well, and DeSoto's hitting their stride. That Westfield win, that sent a statement, 34-17. I thought they had a chance. I was picking Westfield in that one, but 34-17, that's a game right there. That is a statement. And I know Duncanville is, they're that is definitely one of those heavyweight matches that there's no love lost on either side of that one.
Yep.
They're gonna go at each other hot and heavy. It's a heated rivalry, brother against brother. It's like that Cedar Hill rivalry. It's like a couple brothers going at each other. They're gonna talk trash off the field. They're gonna fight hard on the field, and then they're gonna, go back to being next door neighbors. So it should be a lot of fun.
Well, we do need to recap where we went last week. So go ahead with that.
I went to Denton, Ryan, Longview, the rematch there. Thought, the first game of the season for both these guys earlier this year, and Ryan ran away with it. There was a running clock in the second half, but this was there was a feeling going into this one it wasn't going to be that way, and it certainly wasn't. Knocked down, just very fast and physical defenses, and Longview actually got out early. Taylor Tatum with the first touchdown of the game, and then I think he was sidelined for pretty much the rest of the game, and that kind of altered some things for Longview. But in the second half, Jalen Hale came up big with some big receptions, but it was just too much. Ryan was able to get out, and that defense with Anthony Hill leading the way, sideline to sideline. Austin Jordan had a couple big touchdowns on offense, and they pulled away for a 37-33 win. And then I was out in Alvarado watching Marlin and Toller.
Yeah.
Got to see Darian Gillette, one of the top linebackers. So I got to see two of the top linebackers in the state in that 23 class last week. And Gillette made plays at receiver, quarterback, linebacker, defensive end. He was dropping into coverage. He did a bit of everything. He was the punter. I joked with him. I told him I got highlights of him just about everywhere, and he goes, "Yeah, I even punted." And I said, "We're talking about highlights." but yeah, he was doing a bit of everything, man. He was a sight to see. He had a 2-point conversion throw that he had. So, Trajan Butler, it's a 23 athlete, had 4 touchdowns, 3 coming in the fourth quarter. Zamarian Lofton had a couple big scores playing both ways. A 2025 linebacker, Tyron Bell, linebacker, running back. Another guy at that level, you see those guys play all over the field. Mm-hmm. So it was fun to watch, Iron Man football, guys playing, moving around, moving different positions. And Marlin moves on 52-36 in a big win.
Well, I started my Friday with Katy and really got put. I'm telling you what, man, C.E. King came onto the field. It was my first time seeing them. And they got a bunch of good-looking suckers from seniors all the way down to sophomores, and very impressive physical group there from the east side of Houston. And they're out of that district with North Shore and Atascocita. So they had been pushed in the regular season. Also, Humble Summer Creek in that district, they're still in the playoffs. So 3 out of the 4 in that district are still alive. But Katy got pushed a little bit and, kind of did Katy things there toward the beginning of the game. C.E. King comes back into it after halftime. First play of the second half, they get like an 80-yard catch and run for a touchdown. They get I think they get a stop. And anyway, they got it to where it was like, hey, this is a game that Katy hasn't really experienced. Like, they haven't been pushed since really early in the season. But Katy makes enough plays to end up doubling up C.E. King 34-17 last week. Big catching by sophomore tight end Luke Carter, touchdown catch on 3rd and short. You think Katy's going to pound you like they have all game. They go play action and hit a tight end for a touchdown. And then Friday night, I was on my way back to College Station, and so stopped at Cy-Fair FCU Stadium, that Berry Center there, and watched Crosby win a shootout, absolute shootout with A&M Consolidated, 53-50. And that was a lot of fun. Man. I mean, just back and forth. A&M Consolidated freshman quarterback Will Hargett, I think he had 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, which you're going to get that with a freshman playing at that level. Yeah. Crosby has incredible skill talent, and they did this last year. They kind of rode all that skill talent to a state finals appearance, and then they got a matchup with Texas High this week. We'll see if they got enough at the skill position to kind of negate what Texas High does up front on both lines of scrimmage, and that'll be kind of a juxtaposition of styles in that game. But Crosby, very impressive. They move on with a 3-point win over A&M Consolidated. And, this slate of games now, Jason, everybody is a win away from a regional final championship. There, we talked about some of the games last week. Perhaps the biggest upset in the state came at the hands of Tomball beating Rockwall Heath, the Rockwall Heath team that I think both of us had either, in a regional final or going to a state championship. And Coach Flanagan, that's the 4th place team in the district. So they've beaten Cy Park and they've beaten Rockwall Heath in their playoff run. And now they got a regional final matchup with Bridgeland on Saturday, and we don't know the health status of Connor Wigman. So and I think even if Connor's healthy with the way Tomball's playing, it's going to be a really tough ask of Bridgeland, because with their quarterback, Cale Helms, he's an Army commit. I think he's been over 200 yards rushing 3 or 4 times just in the playoffs. I mean, they're putting up giant offensive numbers on the ground through the air, and Coach Flanagan there at Tomball's really got that thing rolling. So I was surprised to see that not they beat Rockwall, but they beat them by 2 scores.
No, that was a big one, man. Tomball's rolling. They've found their footing at the right time, and they can knock off anybody. Just Rockwall Heath. That was a hot pick for a state champion. That was they've been rolling people all year long, and have been a very stout team. And that's like you said, that's a credit. That run that they're making there in Tomball is that those are tried and true teams. They're not just knocking off some teams lucky to make the playoffs.
Yep.
You know, they're fighting through some real tough competitions, and yeah, they're definitely a threat. But shoot, talk about the threats. Last week we saw 5 state champions fall.
Yeah.
5 of last year's state champions. We talked about it later. Argyle falls to Stephenville, 21-17. You got Carthage falling China Spring. Jim Ned getting blown away by Brock, who I did pick Brock to win the state championship there in 3A Division I. And then you got Canadian falling down. So another perennial power from out there in West Texas taking the L. So it was a wild week to begin with, and it's definitely set up for some fun matchups. I got to ask, who would you? Where are you at? Do you know where you're at as far as your state champion picks? Like your number?
Let's see. I know that Fort Bend Marshall went out.
Yeah.
Obviously very early. And then 6A D1, I had Duncanville, so I'm good.
Yeah.
D2, I had Geyer, I believe, so I'm good.
Okay.
And then, let's see, 5A D1, I had College Station, so I'm good. So I think just one of mine are out. And then my small school pick was Franklin, and they're still in.
Well, and you get to see a matchup of our 2 5A D1, championship picks this weekend.
Number 1 versus number 2.
Ryan and College Station.
And look, if you look at it straight up on the playoff run, you'd have to say College Station has been the more impressive team, but that isn't going to matter on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that Ryan defense is different, and sometimes that offense has problems getting their footing. But they're a lot like that SOC team. They have athletes. Jordan Bailey can run. He's as electric as anybody in the state, and he can score from anywhere on the field. And they do a good job of getting him the ball in different situations. Same with Austin Jordan. He's been very explosive on offense, a big play threat. But that Ryan defense is it's different. But College Station, if there's anybody that can do it, I think it's going to be College Station.
Well, yeah, you've got to look at what a guy like Marquise Collins has done in the playoffs for College Station. 10 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. I think
Anthony Hill going head to head.
I think that's going to be it's again that it's like immovable force meets impenetrable object, right? Like the College Station offense against the Denton Ryan defense, which means inevitably the game's going to come down to the Denton Ryan offense against the College Station defense and how that matchup shakes out. But should be a fun matchup on Friday night. I'm headed there, and then on Saturday I'll be at Tomball ISD Stadium for tentatively for Bridgeland versus Tomball. The health status of Connor Wigman will kind of determine what I do there. If not, I may make my way down to Rice to see Summer Creek against Katy.
I got to admit, I'm a little bit mad because I was hoping that I would see Wigman closer to Dallas. I might be able to slip on out of the DFW area a little bit, see Wigman. But
the winner of that game is going to get Denton Geyer. And so you can meet somewhere halfway or somewhere closer to you. Yeah.
But Saturday, I don't have a Friday game, but I will be hitting a doubleheader Saturday at the Ford Center to Star in Frisco. South Oak Cliff and Lucas Lovejoy and Duncanville DeSoto to top it all off.
It's a good day. Fun one. It's 4 of the best teams, not only in the Metroplex, but in the state. Well, Jason, we're getting closer.
I haven't seen Lucas before, so I'm excited.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to the fun weekend in Arlington, where I come and crash your party for a couple of days. But really, the matchups this week are great. You start maybe peeking ahead to some of these state semifinal games in Katy, Austin, Westlake, and 6A D2, a Denton Geyer versus Bridgeland, as we mentioned. Like, there's some really potential fun matchups depending on how things shake out this week. One
of the best in the state in all levels of any round. You got this week in 2A D1. Shiner Refugio.
Oh, yeah,
down there
absolutely.
In Victoria. So look for a sold-out capacity house there in Victoria. Should be a lot of fun, a lot of points.
All right, we'll be right back here next week talking about state semifinals. For Jason Howell, I'm Ryan Brauninger. Thanks for tuning in to the TexAgs High School Football Show.